How's it going, everybody? It's Morty here, and we have a lot to unpack in a fairly short period of time here in an off-day edition of our Big Mets Update segment, that being April
How you
3rd,
doing?
2025. Because not only did the Amazons conclude what was a dramatic yet huge series victory last night against Miami at the time of recording this, but we're going to further expand on what has been nothing short of an amazing start to the season for the polar bear himself and Pete Alonso. We're also going to deep dive the latest signings from the Mets as they've acquired three players over the past 24 hours. Yesterday, they
You
officially
have
landed two
gotten
new bats,
filthy,
adding
my
to the
friend.
organization. And today, just as I'm getting set to record this video, they have added a reliever. So we're going to live react to it all right here, right now.
We'll see you later, right?
You and get into these players' games and what they could potentially provide for the Mets, if anything, at the MLB level.
Good afternoon, everybody. I am KCJ. This is New York Mets 1. And I want to start off today by talking about the hero of the week, Pete Alonso, the diving, monster mashing hero of the New York Mets. I think that what happened last night with his 3-run home run becoming the signature move for Pete Alonso, if we're down and it's late and there's 2 on and Pete's up, you better start hitting your DraftKings because that dude is real. And it almost seems like, for all the conversations that we've had about who's the captain, Francisco Lindor, because of his leadership and the quality that he can bring throughout the summer, Brandon Nimmo for the amount of time that he's been with the team and the leadership that he's also displayed. But I just want to be honest. Like, I understand that the role Pete Alonso plays is not the captain role, but the way he played last night was the way a captain plays, if that makes sense. He was out there hustling on every single play. He didn't let any mistake get to him. When it was his opportunity at the plate, he took advantage of it every single time. He didn't bite on a single slider. He watched every slider go by him. This is not the same Pete Alonso from 2024. This is advanced Alonso. The way that Pete Alonso has been playing has just been off the charts, and it's been exciting to watch. And watching Pete Alonso at the beginning of the 2025 season so far has felt like watching the Mets during their postseason run, where they might be losing the entire game, but once you get to the seventh, eighth inning, there's something different. If you look into their eyes, look at the way they're going up to the plate, they get focused, they lock in. I have so much confidence for this year just from what I've seen the first 6 games. The way that it didn't matter what the situation was, they were going to get men on base late, and they were just going to have to take advantage of some opportunities, maybe get a little lucky. It happened. It happened against us in that game, with a bunch of mistakes that ended up costing us some runs in that final game against the Marlins. And then it came right back around, and the Marlins made some mistakes to give us some runs back, and that was the difference. That was the difference. So, Pete Alonso, I believe you are my hero of the week. And before I get into the stats, I think that since we're still early, I should get into the players who need the most work of the week. And that would be 2 players. One's a pitcher, one's a hitter. Clay Holmes. Clay. Boy, you have started twice. And there is a little bit of information that can be extrapolated from that. Both times 4 2/3 innings, both times struggling to find the plate, and both times getting really lucky that the opposing hitters are swinging themselves out of good situations. Um, I personally don't know what's going on with Clay Holmes. From what it looks like, it seems he's a fisherman who just likes to throw curvy pitches to try to trick people into swinging. But if you actually asked him to throw a strike, I really don't know if he could. And this is after watching 2 games where the frustration built to the point where I said out loud, I don't know if Clay Holmes is physically, psychologically, spiritually, or even emotionally capable of throwing a strike. And the fact that we then end up having to tire out our bullpen every time he goes to start because he cannot make it past 5 innings, it's frustrating. It is. And I understand that the whole reason why he signed to this team was because there was an agreement that there would be some starts at the major league level. However, maybe it was because of the injuries to Sean Manaea and Frankie Montas. But there's not a part of me that thinks that Clay Holmes should be a starting pitcher in the major leagues. He needs to go down to AAA, learn how to throw a strike, and then maybe sometime in the middle of the season bring him back up as a reliever until he proves otherwise. Because let's be honest, did he demonstrate that he was a capable reliever for the Yankees at the end of last year? No. Is he demonstrating for us that he is a capable starter at the beginning of this year? No. So it really comes down to how are we going to best utilize the resources available. That would probably be let him go back to the pitching lab, we'll let him work on everything except that kick change, because it seems that trying to master a half change, half knuckleball has messed with his finger placement because he cannot throw a strike. And it is disastrous to watch innings where he is pitching and expecting that the team is going to be able to stay motivated while he's out there for a 30-minute inning, a 40-minute inning. So that is a pitcher who I think that needs to get a lot more work done before he's going to be effective. The other person who I think needs to work on things, but I don't think it's as drastic as it is with Clay Holmes, is Mark Vientos. The issues that I'm having with Mark Vientos right now, yes, we all saw the game. The last two games, Mark Vientos has displayed amateurish behavior. The last two games, Mark Vientos has displayed the kind of quality that you would find at the FDR Drive watching a pickup game. Seriously, the decision making at third base the last two games has been beyond questionable. It's been flabbergasting. The approach to the plate that he's had has been disappointing. And not running out ground balls is something that, like I said in episode 1, I'm 34 years old right now. I've been watching baseball for 30 years. And even before I was old enough to form sentences, I can recall people on, whether it's the broadcasters on TV or the family members who have been watching baseball their whole life, you run out ground balls. I don't know what year it is. I have no qualms with someone who was born in another country. The reason I would only mention that is because maybe when they learn baseball there, it isn't emphasized the same way it's emphasized in the States. But Mark Vientos was born in the States, where they teach you from 4 years old in T-ball to run out ground balls. So if we're not running out ground balls first, and then let's rewind. If we're terrible at the plate first, and then we are not running out ground balls second, and then third, we are making some of the most questionably bad, can we drug test this guy, not for performance enhancers situations. Two times your throws from third base were some of the most questionable decisions, they're going to make sure, that I've ever seen. I've never seen someone at third base throw the ball that badly. And David Wright was working with spinal stenosis, and he still could get the ball more accurately than that. It's something that is the reason why with Mark Vientos at this moment I am allowing the frustration to come out is because he is displaying he doesn't care. And I know that that's a really juvenile thing for someone with no background experience to say, but I've been watching baseball my entire life. The guy isn't hitting a ball, he's not running out plays, and he's throwing active balls, in-play balls, he's throwing to the fans. I have 100% confidence that someone like Mark Vientos will get everything back on track because he struggled last year. He went through a lot of adversities. He pulled it out. He displayed that he was a professional, and he displayed that he was clutch. And yes, it's only been 6 games, but you cannot have the trifecta of bad hitting, bad fielding, bad fundamentals. You cannot have those, especially when the whole argument for why we couldn't have Iglesias come back was because we had too many young infielders of quality who needed to come up and get their opportunity. And here we have one of those young bucks who was performing at a level that kind of displays that someone else should be getting that chance. And I understand, well, what do you want to do? Do you want to put Brett Beatty at third base? No. No, I want to put Brett Beatty on a different team. I want to put Brett Beatty on the Florida Marlins and get back Sandy Alcantara. That's what I would like. Just being honest with you, I like somebody who's actually well-rounded. And Brett Beatty has struggled with hitting at the major league level. His fielding has been decent. And I'm sure he's a very positive energy and influence to have. You see him looking like Lindor Jr. with a smile. But let's be honest, if we're actually talking about this cutthroat nature of we need to make room, we need to allow talent to blossom, then how are we allowing someone who is not running the bases to start at a major league level? If he's not hitting the ball and he's not fielding the ball properly and he refuses to run out ground balls, why does he continue to get a chance that other people who are apparently waiting aren't getting? If we had kept Iglesias right now, we could have Brett Beatty at third. We could let Vientos play off the bench. We wouldn't have to rely on such a young infield. We are solid when it comes to first base with Pete Alonso. We are solid when it comes to shortstop with Francisco Lindor. But are you going to tell me that Acuna is ready to play second base every day? His accuracy isn't there either. And it's almost worse for Acuna because he's closer to first base making those mistakes. Speaking of which, I would like to say another hero of the week was Luis Torrens, who has been playing some outstanding baseball offensively and defensively. To the point where I want to ask you guys in the comment section, do you think that when Francisco Alvarez comes back, does he deserve to just take the starting role back from Luis Torrens? Or is Luis Torrens displayed that this is a position that's going to have to be worked for by everybody? I understand that I love Francisco Alvarez. He's my favorite catcher, full stop. But I couldn't sit here and confidently say to you guys, oh, he deserves it the second he comes back, when he didn't perform to the best of his abilities last year. And it seems like this year, the one thing people were able to say about him, the highest praise he was able to get, the same praise he's gotten consistently, has been the pitching staff loves him. Here's the issue. The pitching staff is doing just fine with Luis Torrens. They're doing just fine. If you want to argue that the pitchers would feel most comfortable with Francisco Alvarez, I would say, well, the fans would feel most comfortable with someone who could hit and throw runners out. And I think that if we're going to have a conversation about Francisco Alvarez returning to the starting position at a permanent level, then we also need to have the conversation with how bad he is at throwing runners out. We're Mets. We need to be. We're Met fans. We need to be able to criticize when criticizing is necessary. We cannot be one of those teams that it doesn't matter if you're a fan of this team and you talk bad about a member of this team, then you are not really a fan of this team. Absolutely not. That philosophy doesn't fly here. In this house, if you're watching them every single day, you probably are seeing patterns that are legitimate. You're noticing things. Francisco Alvarez during the playoffs was not great. Just the inability to hold runners on was devastating. And they can't run on Luis Torrens. So when Francisco Alvarez comes back, you really need to weigh the abilities of Luis Torrens to not only get runners out, not only play defensively super solid at the catcher position, but also to be capable of hitting consistently. You have to weigh that for Luis Torrens against the popularity and the youngness of Francisco Alvarez. I would love to know what you guys honestly think. I really would, because for me that's kind of a difficult thing. I don't think that it's going to work out where Alvarez just shows up and he's the backup. It's been his, like, that's his position for like the last 2-3 years. But I really do believe that Luis Torrens has made a conversation for, hey man, maybe play a little bit better and earn this spot back, as opposed to just being the heir to the catcher throne. But that's it for the heroes and people who need work for the week. Let's run through the stats really quickly and then wrap everything up with the ticket information for the home opener. Juan Soto and Pete Alonso both had 21 at bats, 5 hits and 6 hits respectively. Juan Soto with 6 hits, 1 home run, 3 RBIs. Pete Alonso with 6 hits, 2 home runs, and 8 RBIs, which I think is the league lead, unless, who are we kidding? The Dodgers are probably leading in everything. Francisco Lindor is 2 for 20, which is way better than he started last year. So he's already off to a better start, which means that the Mets are also off to a better start. He hasn't hit a home run yet, but he has gotten 2 RBIs, and those were both in clutch situations where we needed a score. So I'm not worried about Francisco Lindor at all, though I do think maybe, excuse me, maybe get him out of the leadoff position for right now. I know that he was struggling last year, and we moved him to the leadoff position, and he started doing amazing. And we said, oh, why didn't we just do this from the beginning? Maybe it has nothing to do with the position and everything to do with the time of year. So maybe Francisco Lindor at this moment needs to not be in the leadoff position. Maybe that should be someone with high contact and high speed. I'm sure this is going to sound a little crazy, but maybe put someone from your outfield for now. For now, while Francisco Lindor is struggling, maybe a Jose Siri who is striking out way too much. But we're just going based on people who have contact and speed to put into the leadoff position, maybe steal second base so that Juan Soto could just hit a single to drive him in, or maybe hit a ground ball to move him over to third so Pete could get the pop up. Just for now, until late April, until May or early June, when Lindor is back to Lindor's natural form. For now, we cannot start every single game with an automatic out. And that is going to have to be up to the manager to try to dance that fine line between staying loyal to your players and doing what's best for the team. Because as much as every single Mets fan across the planet rightfully should love Francisco Lindor, you cannot say that you support an automatic out at the beginning of every game. And if you do, then you're delusional, not fanatical. So, Luis Torrens, in 16 at-bats, got 5 hits, a home run, and 2 RBIs. Mark Vientos, tied for the most at-bats on the team, is 2 and 24, with no home runs and 1 RBI. And Brandon Nimmo, who also has 24 at-bats, has 6 hits, 2 home runs, and 3 RBIs. So the Mets, for the most part, the bats have been waking up. The pitching has been super solid and has been exciting to watch, except for Clay Holmes. So right now, I want to say that the Mets are in fantastic shape, and I want to make some predictions for this upcoming series that we're going to talk about briefly to wrap up everything. So the Blue Jays are coming to town from Friday, April 4th to Sunday, April 6th. This is going to be at Citi Field. The 4th, April 4th, is going to be the home opener at 3:10. That's going to be Kevin Gausman versus Tylor Megill. Tickets for this game are completely sold out, unfortunately. But if you would like to, there is the Saturday and Sunday options. Saturday, April 5th, the promotion will be a Juan Soto pin. That game will be at 7:10, taking place between Chris Bassett for the Blue Jays. Welcome back, Chris. And Griffin Canning for the New York Mets. We are so happy to have you, Griffin. There are still 218 seats available for this game, ranging from the field level seats for $369 to the 500 seats for $27. That is for April 5th, Saturday at 7:10. April 6th, Sunday, first pitch will be at 1:40. There will be 132 seats available to watch Bowden Francis versus David Peterson. The most expensive seats at the field level will be $438. The cheapest seats at the 500 level are going to be $19. This is a game that I recommend people going to. Up until April 7th, you can get any tickets you want free of fees. So $19 flat gets you a seat to go see David Peterson and the New York Mets on a beautiful Sunday afternoon. That is the game that I would want to be at, so that is the game that I recommend to all of you guys. And I think we've covered everything that we wanted to talk about for the most part. The Mets have been doing fantastically. That Marlins series could have gone horribly for us, and it ended up becoming one of those things that we might look back on and say this was a situation where we got to see who our leaders were and gain great confidence in the future. But it's the New York Mets. If you don't have confidence in this future, you haven't really been paying attention. But my name is Casey J. This is New York Mets 1. Have a good day.
We're also going to get into what is happening in the farm for the Mets, what's happening in Syracuse, what is going on with the roster construction, with the Brooklyn A Cyclones, the Portuguese Mets, the Rumble Ponies, everyone in between is what we're going to deep dive, along with what is happening with our rival in the Atlanta Braves. It's one thing to start this season 0-5 the way the Mets did last year and come all the way back to the
we were supposed to fail. This was the day we fall apart. Everybody says everything we did, none is gonna matter for certain. Why would keep fighting? Everyone's laughing. Maybe just today, throw it all away, give them all what they wanted. I felt a pieces, nothing could fix me, but then I checked this out. I heard someone say that ball's flown away and it's not coming back. It's been done and the Mets have won, my friends. Take a second and let this moment sink in. It's been done and the Mets have won, my friends. Take a second and let this moment sink in. It's been done again. The Mets have won, my friends. Take a second and let this moment sink in. It's been done and the Mets have won, my friends. Take a second and let this moment sink in. It's been done again. The Mets have won, my friends. Take a second and let this moment sink in. It's been done again. The Mets have won, my friends. Take a second and let this moment sink in. Yeah, yeah. It's been done again. The Mets have won, my friends. Take a second and let this moment sink in.